Let's cross then to our Nigeria correspondent then, Phil Ihaza, who is indeed in Abuja for us. A very good afternoon to you, Phil. I do understand that President Cyril Ramaphosa is to touch down shortly. In fact, if he hasn't already since last I checked. Let's talk about his itinerary and his schedule today. We do, of course, understand that he is to meet his counterpart, President Muhammadu Buhari. Do we know what they will be discussing then this afternoon?
Well, thank you, Flo. So just shortly before we got on air, we got reports from the official media who are the only ones, able to cover the arrival of the president. And they say that the president is not yet in the country. But of course, any moment from now, he will be touching down to meet with his counterpart, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. We also know that he's expected to be at the State House, but for a banquet or a dinner. And of course, some other engagements that are not open yet to the general press or media. We also know that he's expected to address the press, and both presidents are expected to discuss some other official matters that will be made available to the general public. That's tomorrow. But of course, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of preparations on the part of Nigeria to receive, what many call her big brother, which is South Africa. I mean, you're talking about two countries that have enjoyed bilateral relations, cordial relations for many, many years, from even before the apartheid era in South Africa. And so it's a historic one. It's good that the South African president is visiting these four nations, and don't forget that Nigeria is the first of the four nations that he's visiting. He's going to also be discussing various issues, especially economic issues, of course, which is quite timely at a time when many economies are trying to recover from the impact of the pandemic.
And I think that's important to discuss in terms of the fact that, everybody at this point is kind of looking out for themselves, since we're all in this pandemic, and we've seen where countries just sort of take care of their own, so to speak. But here we are in a situation where, of course, we are having bilateral talks in terms of African nations, where, of course, we're reinforcing South Africa's bilateral relations with the countries that the president will indeed be visiting. Perhaps it's important to talk about the history of Nigeria and South Africa's relations up to this point, and how further they can then be reinforced, as the president has said, indeed, that he is trying to reinforce that relationship.
Yeah, so I think that at this time it will be difficult for any nation to think that they can actually go through the impact of the pandemic themselves, because this is the time where African nations, or even countries world over, would require each other to support themselves, to boost trade and other relations. You look at over 120 companies, South African companies, domiciled here in Nigeria in different sectors, telecommunications, banking sector, hospitality, and a whole lot more. And of course, the same, you'll find a lot of Nigerian businesses in South Africa. So it's a really, really good timing for South Africa, President of South Africa, to visit not just Nigeria, but West African nations, this region where, there's a whole lot of presence as well. So that cordial relationship, of course, we know that they'll be signing of memorandum of understandings. They'll also be looking into the African Free Trade Agreement, because you're looking at a trade that has stalled for a very long time, and it's a trade that many analysts have said is one of the biggest in the world. You're looking at 1.3 billion people and a market share or worth of over $3.4 trillion. And so South Africa and Nigeria, without them having to put heads together to see how that can happen, it may never actually see the light of day. So it's part of the reasons why both nations, or both leaders, will be meeting to look at how trade can be eased amongst these nations, South Africa, West Africa, and other parts of the continent. So it's really, really a good time, I must say, that this visit is happening.
All right, let's touch base at a later stage then, Phil. Certainly you will be keeping an eye on the president's whereabouts. Thanks very much for talking to us.